November 1898. The farmlands of western Minnesota. Olof Öhman, a Swedish immigrant, is clearing stumps from his newly acquired land. His axe bites into the roots of a stunted poplar tree, and then something solid, something that doesn't belong. Tangled in the roots, face down in the earth, lies a slab of grey stone weighing over 200 pounds. Öhman's 10-year-old son, Edward, notices strange markings scratched into its surface, angular, deliberate, a message from someone. But who and when? What Öhman has found will ignite a debate that burns to this day. The stone speaks. In runic characters, the ancient alphabet of Scandinavia, it tells a story. We are 8 Goths and 22 Norwegians on an exploration journey from Vinland through the west. Vinland, the Norse name for North America. The inscription continues. We were out fishing one day. After we came home, we found 10 of our men, red with blood and dead. A massacre. A prayer follows, Ave Maria, save us from evil. And then, a date, 1362, 130 years before Columbus. The academic world's verdict came swiftly. Within months, Scandinavian linguists declared it a fraud. The language, they said, was too modern, closer to 19th century Swedish than medieval Norse. The runes were inconsistent with verified medieval inscriptions. The numbers were written wrong. Case closed. The Kinsington runestone was labeled a hoax, and Olof Öhman, its likely forger. But here's what doesn't fit. Olof Öhman was a farmer with limited formal education. In 1898, rural Minnesota, there were no university libraries, no internet, no easy access to specialized knowledge of medieval Scandinavian linguistics. How would a Swedish immigrant farmer acquire the expertise to forge a convincing 14th century runic inscription? And why would he? Öhman never sought money. He never tried to sell the stone. He never courted fame. He simply maintained, until his death in 1935, that he found it exactly as he described. So we're left with two possibilities. Either a barely educated Minnesota farmer pulled off one of history's most elaborate archaeological hoaxes for no apparent reason, or the stone is exactly what it claims to be. What if the scholars were wrong? In the year 2000, forensic geologist Scott Walter began a detailed scientific examination of the runestone. Using transmitted light microscopy, he studied thin sections cut from both the carved grooves and the uncarved surface. What he found was striking. The mica crystals within the stone had weathered into a mineral called cerussite, and this weathering had penetrated to the same depth in both the inscribed and uninscribed areas. When Walter compared the runestone to dated tombstones from Maine, stones just 200 years old, the Kinsington Stone showed significantly more degradation, the kind of breakdown that takes centuries. The stone itself holds another clue. It's composed of 2 minerals, greywacker, a hard grey sandstone, and calcite, which is softer. If the stone truly lay face down in Minnesota soil for over 5 centuries, the runes carved into the calcite should show more weathering than those in the greywacker. And they do. The calcite inscriptions are 25% more eroded. The letter V has weathered so much it now resembles a U. This differential weathering is consistent with extreme age. There's a historical framework that makes the inscription plausible. In 1354, King Magnus Eriksson of Sweden and Norway commissioned an expedition to Greenland, led by a man named Paul Knutson. The mission: investigate reports that the Norse settlements there were abandoning Christianity. But when Knutson arrived, the Western settlement was empty, abandoned. Where did the colonists go? Proponents suggest Knutson may have followed them westward, toward Vinland and beyond, into the heart of North America. The date on the stone, 1362, aligns perfectly with this expedition. The rune stone doesn't stand alone. At Cormorant Lake in Becker County, Minnesota, researchers found boulders with triangular holes, strikingly similar to medieval Norwegian boat mooring stones. In 1871, a fire steel matching medieval Norse specimens was discovered in Climax, Minnesota. Scattered across the region, hints of a presence that history forgot. We must be honest about the counter-arguments. Some geologists insist the inscription shows too little weathering, that it looks as sharp as the day it was carved. Linguists point out that the language contains modernisms, phrases that feel more at home in 19th century Swedish than medieval Norse. In 2019, researchers discovered similar-looking runes in Sweden dated to the 1870s, carved in a region connected to Öhman's family. The scholarly consensus remains firmly against authenticity. But consensus isn't proof. The skeptics have never explained how Öhman, or anyone in 1898 Minnesota, could have known to include details like the differential mineral weathering, or the specific rune variants that some scholars now acknowledge existed in medieval Scandinavia. They've never explained his motive. They've never identified a collaborator. The hoax theory requires Öhman to be simultaneously an ignorant farmer and a master forger. Today, the Kinsington runestone rests in the Runestone Museum in Alexandria, Minnesota, listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Thousands visit each year. Some come as skeptics, some as believers. Most leave uncertain. What draws them isn't just the question of authenticity. It's the story the stone tells, of explorers far from home, of violence in an unknown land, of a prayer scratched into rock before an uncertain fate. Perhaps we'll never know for certain who carved the Kinsington runestone or when, but the question it poses reaches beyond archaeology. It asks us, what do we truly know about the past? How much have we lost? How many stories lie buried beneath our feet, waiting, like a stone tangled in the roots of a tree, to be discovered? In 1898, Olof Öhman pulled a stone from the earth. The message it carried had waited, perhaps for 500 years. It's still waiting, for someone to finally believe.